Hey, everybody, this is Brandon from the Golden Guardians podcast. In the past few weeks, Jacob and I were planning on recording the Exiles deck profile for our podcast. Unfortunately, we've had some scheduling conflicts that we weren't able to coordinate to get together to record this episode quite yet. So right now, we will still plan on record the Exiles deck episode of the podcast, but Jacob and I have just been super busy the past few weeks and we haven't had a chance to record the episode yet. So I figured in the meantime, while we get that situated, I wanted to share everybody an episode that I recorded around July 2020. So this was originally going to be my Versus System podcast before I came up with the Golden Guardians podcast. And in this recording, it was me, my buddy Mark, and my buddy Robert that decided to do a one-shot recording of us talking about Versus System. Now, unfortunately, our podcast that we wanted to go, we had scheduling conflicts and Mark and Robert weren't available to record any future episodes. So we recorded one episode and we're just going to show that as part of the Golden Guardians podcast until, like I said, Jake and I figure out the time to give everybody the Exiles deck profile. And before I show this episode, I do want to make a couple of notes. The first note I want to make is this was the first time that I ever recorded a podcast for anything. So you'll notice that the audio on me during the episode is going to be really low and it's not going to be great. And this was only because this was the first time I was doing podcasting. We all recorded this on one mic and apparently the mic didn't pick up my voice very well. So I'm going to sound awful in this episode. And the second thing is you'll notice that in this episode, there might be a couple of times when me, Mark, and Robert kind of go back and forth and talk a lot. And you'll notice that we talk about maybe the same content throughout the podcast. And it was just, again, we're not professional podcasters at all. This was the first time that I recorded something with them, and I was trying to get all the kinks out of the recording and I was pretty much teaching myself how to do it. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and show this episode as episode 9 of the Golden Guardians podcast. I'll call this episode like the pilot episode or the lost episode title, one of those titles, I guess. But anyway, yeah, this podcast episode will be on all the listening platforms. So Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all those ones. And then you can also take a look at the YouTube channel, Super Fanboy Guy. That will include images of some of the cards we talk about. So you guys can check that out if you want. But thank you for listening or watching, if you're watching this on YouTube. Make sure to keep tuning in to our episodes of the podcast, and we will make sure to get the Exiles deck done as soon as possible. And hope you enjoy this episode.
All right, welcome to our first podcast that we are going to be producing. This is the first podcast we are pushing towards. There are 3 of us here on this discussion table. We might have less or more next time. My name is Mark Smith, and people with me today is
Robert McAllister
and Brandon Hay.
You might have seen one of our other videos of one of our actual games in progress, a unique matchup. Potentially, if it's set up, click below for the links, or maybe not, who knows. Today's particular topic, again, is going to be about Versus System, the original TCG, not the Living Card Game edition that is currently ongoing, and its place in the world and communities for card games in general, considering the world pausing for a few months and how many TCGs, especially Versus System and other big name cards such as Pokemon, Magic, especially canceled card games, again, Versus System and other games have kind of had a second breath of life brought to them.
And I actually just found out yesterday that the Transformers card game got canceled, and that was like 2 years, right?
Transformers, I think, was 2 years.
2 years from Wizards of the Coast.
And it is getting a petition from its player base to continue, which, again, Versus System had, again, its push and last breath and last promos. And yeah, we're gonna see where we're sitting as a community, which has been more vibrant than ever on most social media, Discord, Facebook especially, trading, selling. Our collections, I know all three of us have built decks we've never
Built before, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would say that. And
one of us swam in and just jumped straight in. I'm gonna get all this.
well, actually, what I'm really excited about the most is, since everything that's happened in the world happened, since people are stuck at home, they're going through their closets and they're finding cards that they need to sell, whether they just wanted to get rid of them or if they need money because they lost their job.
Or half built, meaning I got
Yeah.
58 out of this out of 60. Why don't I just get the last 2? I'm home.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of cards that, personally when I started, I never thought I would own because, they're not around anywhere. For an example, the Ultimate Spider-Man card, I was able to pick up 2 of those, and I would never thought I would get that. And also the Zombie Spider-Man, which was also, it was a promo card that was pretty tough to get.
Yeah. Most of the zombie cards, the Spider-Man and the Cap are seen as the 2 most utilized. Spider-Man more so since it is one of the top 8. Yeah, I'm happy I picked up those years ago, and I was watching the former Cool Stuff, which used to be the major site to go to, which is still, you can still search Cool Stuff to see images and cards. But right now, especially Category 1, BSTW, eBay right now.
Although Robert had because we're in the process of trying to build him like a Joker deck. And obviously, one of the most important cards to get is the 6-drop Joker.
Killer Smile.
Killer Smile, yeah, that's right. And I actually just talked to a guy, was able to talk to him, work something out, and Robert's got one. But all those DC Legends cards are really hard to find. And now, if you need cards, those are the good time to pick up these cards because, there was a guy on the forum who had 10 sealed boxes of DC Legends, and I'm just that is something that I thought I would never see again.
Exactly.
I'm not going to say I got a half chub, maybe a 3/4 chub off of that, kind of boom.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because with everything going on, now is the time to be a buyer or a seller. Because like you said, if you're a buyer and you wanted to finish some decks, get the cards now while people are selling. But it's also good if you're a seller because then you can sell your cards that you're not doing anything with.
Yeah.
And you can make some money on it. So it's really a good time for Versus System right now.
I remember when the Ultimate Spider-Mans were 25-ish, maybe 50, and now we're having auctions on some of these forums for over 100 each, or even a bundle of around a little under 400 for 4 of them.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
And then how much was that 6-drop Joker back in the day?
It's $7-8, and now it's $35 for a foil, and
It's actually still relatively cheap. I think we saw it on Category 1 for $10.
yeah,
So Saturday, it was sold out, right?
yeah, sold out. Yeah.
So it averaged around there as opposed to. And then how much was that one particular gentleman?
Oh, he was trying to get $100 for it on eBay. He dropped the price from $100 to $90 because nobody wants to buy it because it's outrageously priced.
What are you using right now?
I'm using the 6-drop Insanity Joker.
So to use your ongoing
Is that the one from
Joker
World's
Legend.
Finest?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're using essentially what is it's not a vanilla, but it is.
It's not a vanilla, but it is. It's basically for Insanity, but I'm using it as
What's its actual insanity effect?
discard a card from your hand at random to put a +1/+1 counter on any Arkham inmate character.
Actually, I think they get +1/+1 until the end of turn.
Yeah.
It's any
Okay.
character. Which, with some people who are not familiar with the Insanity deck, it's essentially a deck that you have 1 copy of each card, because you're normally allowed to have 4 copies of each card. So it's kind of think of it as like a brawl deck in Magic
Or Commander, which I
without the
think Commander actually might have gotten an idea from, because I think Insanity came up before the Commander format, or EDH for
Yeah.
Magic's previous equivalent.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And Insanity is, yeah. So, yeah, he is trying to get that last 6-drop, but he is using to have that 6-drop to proc off that ongoing effect a vanilla 6-drop Joker.
Yep.
Yeah, and actually, going back to this whole topic of, our topic today is really Versus System is back,
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of
Well, we thought it was back a few years ago with the Living Card game.
yeah.
That was, again, there's talks, and you're like, yeah, you want it to come back, and then you see Upper Deck give you that box at that convention.
Like
And it's
Gen-Con.
reprints,
I
and
do
you've
have
got
that.
Savages and Bastions and stuff, and you're going, oh my gosh, they're going to do it. And then they completely flip everything, and it's completely incompatible. And it's just a little bit of a slap in the face from them.
Yeah, but, you know, at the same time, I kind of understand why they wanted to do something different. I mean, you know, they could have drawn, like, new people that haven't played the original game.
Yeah.
You know, in that sense. But the only thing that bothers me about the two-player living card game is the fact that they had to use the name Versus System
When it's not.
a completely different game. And I've never
There's no
played-
chain system. Essentially, because Versus, just like with Magic, has that first in, last out, that chain of going off of each player, there's effects and cards.
And, you know, personally, I feel that I've never played the game, so I'm not going to be like, oh, it's a terrible card game, because I've never played it, so I don't know. It may be a great game, but it just turned me off that they use the name, but it's a completely different, like, mechanics and everything.
They were
Oh, wait.
using it
That's,
just for trying to get us back in, and
Which
that's it.
didn't work for a lot of the community.
Oh yeah, right now
Uh,
it's huge.
But yeah, but we're not here to bash on the new game. We're here to talk about the old game a little bit. And so here's an example of some things that have been going around for me. So I had my buddy Alessandro came over today, and you know, for a while he's had the World's Finest deck, and he wants one more Superman Metropolis Marvel. In case nobody what that does, it's a 5-drop in DC Legends that he gets +1/+1 for each opposing character. Now, on a one-on-one scenario, when
That's
you're playing,
still-
that's not bad. But you know, we've played multiplayer games when, you know, we've had like 5 people, and he's like a 20/20 by the time he comes out, or something ridiculous like that.
Yep.
And he's also really good if you're playing the
And
Galactus starter. And, you know, he just becomes so big that he starts beating all the heralds, and it's like not even worth it at that point.
Well, back in the day,
Well, it is worth the playing.
it was one of the first better statted Superman, because most Superman, especially back in the Superman set, were kind of,
Lackluster.
yeah.
So let me ask you, Mark. So with the current resurgence of Versus going on in the past few months, what are some of the cards that, you know, you wanted to get for a while that you couldn't, but now you have?
Well, I've again, thanks. We're not getting any monetary compensation, but Category 1, which the gentleman is in one of the bigger Versus System forums in the Facebook community, I've been able to finish up Negative Zone. I've also been able to finish up and acquire additional Avengers cards for some of my decks. Just little pieces here and there that back then I never thought, especially with cool stuff purging their inventory and all that, I'd be able to kind of really get towards. Yeah, I've just gotten piece after piece after piece of cards that I've always wanted, and during this pause in time, it's been a feasible option.
What about you, Robert? What are some of the stuff that you were able to pick up?
I was finally able to get the Lazarus Pit, the good one.
Oh, the DC Legends one?
The DC Legends Lazarus Pit, yes. And a couple other cards, but
Oh, you picked up boxes of what set?
Infinite Crisis.
How many boxes did you get?
4.
And with that, you were able to make, what, Shadow Pack?
Shadow Pack, yeah.
So you made a full deck, pretty much off of the boxes, and then again, Category 1 and trades through the community, and Brandon assisting you to get other pieces as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let me tell you. So about I think it was, what was it, like a month and a half or 2 months ago, a buddy of mine was selling his collection, and pretty much, you know, he wanted a lot of money for it, but I figured, you know what, essentially his collection was like a Batman Superman deck, the World's Finest deck, a foil Brotherhood Reservist deck, and like EA mobilizes, and you know, some other stuff. But essentially, I kept those decks that I just mentioned, and I think I sold you the Warbound deck.
Yeah, the Hulk deck.
Yeah, so the Hulk deck. And then, so I was able to sell, what was kind of cool is I was able to sell the stuff that I didn't want from the Versus collection, and I made about half of the money that I spent on the collection that I bought. and then I was able to sell like Pokemon and Magic cards and toys to kind of make up the difference for the other half. So if you combine those two, I was able to pay. I made my money back on the collection. Plus, I got to keep the stuff that I want.
Especially the world's finest deck on its own. Again, the DC sets at the end are so.
Yeah, there was like Batman founding member, a foil and non-foil, so 2, and then two Metropolis Marvel, again non-foil and foil. And yeah, and it's like, for that kind of money, I was like, yeah, I spent a lot, but I got.
You never thought you'd have.
Yeah, I never thought
the world's finest.
Yeah, a year ago, and like I'm a big Marvel guy. I want everything Marvel, and the fact that I got that world's finest deck was just like, this is cool. Like,
you mean DC, right? You just said Marvel.
Well, I
huge
said
Marvel.
World's Finest, didn't I?
You said World's Finest, yes, I'm a big Marvel fan.
Oh, yeah. I'm
like, wait.
No, I do love Batman. Though,
yeah.
So that's why I decided to keep that. I'm not a big Superman fan, but, the two superheroes in this
them as a tandem team is just an awesome meaning. You're only missing Wonder Woman, but even her cards are
expensive. Is that the Amazon?
The ambassador.
Yeah. That's
she's...
Right. Yeah, I think she was on Category 1 for like $60, and then somebody just scooped it.
Oh, yeah. All of them were gone on Category 1. They were there for a while. And then again, once this all started...
Supply and demand, right?
Yep.
But I remember the day that, because Robert mentioned he got his Lazarus Pits, the DC Legends one. So I remember the day that I literally sent him like a screenshot of it on Category 1. And like, I just... I checked back, 10 or 20 minutes later, and I saw that they were sold out. And then I went to Robert the next day, and I'm like, I really hope you picked up those 2 Lazarus Pits, because they're gone now. And he's like, yep, I
sure
did.
the hell did.
I sure did. And then I think I got 2 other ones from a trade that I was able to give him. But I can also tell you that one of the other cards that I was able to get, and 2 decks that I've been wanting to make for a while that I couldn't get cards for were the Heralds of Galactus deck and the Inhumans. Well, I just finished the Inhumans about probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then the Heralds I was able to get the stuff I need to finish that. And so I was like, because I had these incomplete decks, like
just sitting in my there.
box and doing nothing. And so now I'm able to, collect it, and and I still have like. And the cool thing is with that collection I bought, going back for a second, I still have a lot of the cards from it, and I actually took the time to like put them all in a spreadsheet and make
Google Docs and all that.
Yeah, make a PDF and show people, hey, this is what I have for trade, and it makes it a lot easier because, I don't remember if I mentioned this, but maybe I did. Did I talk about my buddy wanting the Metropolis Marvel?
Yeah. We were talking about essentially how ridiculous it is a multiplayer and your friend wants to get it. Now you're putting out feelers.
Yeah, exactly. So going back to that really quick. So I put it out that I was looking for it on the forum, or the group, excuse me.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'm looking for Metropolis Marvel for a friend. Within 10 minutes, I had somebody message me. And, I was able to get it. So... yeah, that's pretty awesome. And then I think another card I was able to get from everything, like, I was able to buy some stuff from different websites. Like, again, we're not being promoted by them, but Hill's Wholesale Gaming. I found that there were a bunch of cheap boxes there, and I was actually able to pick up some Enemy of My Enemies for like, I think like $10 each, because it was, they were just there, and I decided to pick it up, and I'm glad I did. So yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Again, the community we are mentioning that we do go through the most is on Facebook. It's Versus System Collective. That's kind of where one of the largest groups on Facebook for Versus System around this area as well, where a lot of trades are still happening. People asking questions, some new players also bouncing up. Again, it's people stuck at home during this time for months, playing with tight-knit family groups, since you pretty much were stuck heavily in home. So you're playing group matches, and you're especially the check that came in, the unrestrained check that was supposed to help you. So that money that came in to help, if you were still working as some type from home or as an essential employee, you just got an extra $1,200. Again, they did not put any restrictions on it. So if you were fine, this was just a $1,200, let's use it. And that just ballooned up so much of these prices.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And again,
Definitely.
players' incentive, like, I've got the money to throw to finish these decks. I got the money to foil out these decks.
Oh yeah, let me tell you. During this time, I've, with the exception of the foil Brotherhood Reservists, I was able to almost foil out my Marvel Knights Underworld deck, like the old school one with combining the Brotherhood with like Avalon Space Station and Lost City. I practically almost had that foiled out, and I think there was one other deck that I was going to foil out, but I decided not to because I was gonna foil out my World's Finest deck, but the cards to get for that was just like, yeah, it's just not worth it at this point. So I kind of passed on that one. So.
I don't know. That's the thing is I've never been one for foiling out decks. I learned young. Financially, I couldn't.
Right.
I did, however, one of my decks I traded off to a friend. You helped finish the last card of it. I had 55 foil cards of a Sentinel deck. I was able to get the last 4 through trades and buying, and then you gave the last card to get that fully foiled from a friend. Yeah.
Okay.
So that one again was the only thing towards mine, and you've had a foil Spider Friends deck.
Oh yeah, I love that deck so much. And
Are you trying to get the Scarlet's foil and get it Golden Age?
are you talking about Scarlet Spider, the reveal?
Yeah.
I actually, so when I bought part of that collection, they were already in that collection, so I already.
So you already have the foil ones?
And the 2-drop Black Cat that makes plot twist cost too. Yeah, that was in that collection too. And then I actually put them originally in the trade box that I was going to sell off.
And then
I was like, I gotta keep these because I don't know because my Spider Friends deck is just all Silver Age. It's Marvel
kept in that block pretty much.
block. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what it is. And
But it's Team Up it's still considered modern or silver?
I think it's silver.
Yeah, I think it's around the silver edge for it. Well, besides your Shadow Pack deck, what other... I know you didn't really have a completed League of Assassins, right?
No.
So you built League of Assassins and fleshed it out with Checkmates, especially
Yeah.
since you kind of went heavy into those boxes.
Yeah.
And that's still, again, with the Lazarus Pits, those 4 boxes, that's one of the decks you've
From
been
a
able to
little
kind
help of yours truly, because I guarantee you would not have got those Lazarus Pits if it weren't for me.
Yeah, probably would not have gotten them if they weren't for you, but I have them now, so...
Yeah, plus, the thing is, I think, you have access, you're on the forum in the group.
Yeah.
Sorry, the group. I keep calling it the forum, but it's a group.
collective, I
Yeah,
guess.
collective.
It's only
Right.
1.4 thousand members right now.
Which I'm wondering how many of those people are actually active doing stuff, because it seems like sometimes I see a lot of the same people posting stuff, and then like they'll sell stuff and just not be interactive in the community as much.
We do see people posting, and then you do see some threads that, a year ago you'd see posts here and there, but now we've got threads going into like 50 comments.
Right.
People asking about deck building, if people have this or that. Whereas, again, this pause in the world, everyone, be it Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus System as one of the cancel card games does have a pretty active community, and it just grew and kind of revitalized a lot of people's interest, especially now that superheroes, back when this was a card game, were not as big as they are now. There is a completely night and
was
day.
discontinued in 2009. Was that it? Was it 2008 or 2009? Something like that.
Should have
Mark,
been
Mark, you can check
2008.
that on your
Yeah,
phone.
one sec.
But I do. So if it was 2008, that was around the time the first Iron Man movie came out, and the MCU wasn't really like big as it is right now.
Oh, it was a fledgling. I mean, there were people like superheroes, but it's still like comic shops and stuff were niche.
Yeah.
Is it gone? Oh, there it is.
I think it was 2009 because I remember
There's the
when
UD announced in 2014. Screw you. 1 second. It is. Where'd it go? Oh, yeah. The game was discontinued by Upper Deck at the very beginning of January 2009.
Yeah, because
so right of that year.
I remember exactly because Robert and I met each other in 2008, and this is how we actually met, was through playing this game.
Through Versus, yeah.
Yeah, and then our game got discontinued, and I knew he liked anime, and we said, "Hey, Robert, you want to play the Dragon Ball Bandai game?" Because were you?
I was playing Naruto at that
Naruto,
time.
which is the same engine.
I did. I saw people playing it, and I know we at the shop you used to get like 14, 16 people every week playing that.
Yeah,
game.
every week, yeah.
And I was always a big Dragon Ball fan, so that's how I got started. And eventually, I got into Naruto after I got into Dragon Ball. But anyway, going off topic a little, Versus System, I always thought it was a really great game because I felt like that the designers did a really good job of specifying cards. For an example, the card Enemy of My Enemy, which is, you discard a card, you search for a character that doesn't have the affiliation, the printed affiliation.
Yes.
That's something that they made really specific.
Printed and team-ups.
Because, with team-ups, you can team them up, and I feel like sometimes Wizard of the Coast, they don't think about certain things like that. They're not specific on certain cards.
And considering it was around for about 5 years of play, the ban list is so small in comparison to most games that go for 5 years.
That's true.
And again, the bans they did was just because it was unhealthy, pretty
infinite
combos.
Well, I mean, in Versus System, Antarctic Research Base was it made an infinite combo, right?
Most.
But I don't think it. Well, actually, the Detective Chimp one.
Shadow Pact.
That one was the one that just you pay one and everybody has team affiliation.
You pretty much, again, team stamping is how they balanced out a lot of powerful card effects, and Detective Chimp was just so easy to get that instant team up for many effects that you could heavily abuse, and pretty much players right when it came out started kind of abusing it, and it was very easy to abuse, so they nipped it in the bud. It's cliche.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, they gave it the Dan Hammer. But going back for a second, with a bunch of Versus System stuff just coming out from people staying at home and going through their own closets, I'm actually kind of surprised that on the forum, people have been selling playmats that we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Really hard to find stuff. I know on the forum I picked up the Joker playmat for Robert. And, that one is really hard to find.
Yes,
you can't find it anywhere. And I just picked up the Wolverine Marvel Legends one. I think it's the Celebration one.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I think it's the Celebration
one. The one with the 7-drop on the front of it. So I have that coming in the mail. And then, all these... The only playmat that I haven't seen going around the collective is the Doctor Doom mat.
Oh, most players, if most, are going to do it as... What was the little topic of a moment? The porn? The Versus System porn?
Yeah. So
Let's show the bling.
Yeah, so what pretty much is there was the thing going around in the forum that people, this was just a couple weeks ago. It's kind of died down, but people would show, their best foil cards or, and it was oh, I heard you guys like porn, which it wasn't really porn. It was just
that's
stuff,
that terminology. If you're about to have a wedding and you're researching wedding a lot, that terminology is using as wedding porn. It's just that way to say it in a cheeky way.
Okay.
So if you're into sweets and cookies, cookie porn. It's not people having sex with cookies. It's just, again, that terminology. It's weird.
Yeah.
We're a weird society.
I don't know. But so not actual porn. But
if you look hard enough, yes, you probably find it. But this, again, was just people... A chance to show off, again, the guy who's showing, 30 foil Savage Beatdowns and stuff and other things. And
there's actually a guy that showed an uncut sheet of foils.
Yeah.
I was wow, that's a real baller.
Oh, yeah, after 5 years and 2 major awards, I think the second year the game was around, it won, a Gamer's Choice Award. It also had one of the largest tournament payouts, I think, for one of its first tournaments in its first year. I think it was 10,000, which was unheard of. I'm trying to remember.
Right now with Magic, it's
that's
just whatever. Well,
yeah.
For the for the Pro Tour or the World Championship, that's hundreds of $100,000, I think, or something like that. But okay, so let me ask you: is there any cards that you guys want to get now? Before the hype of Versus System kind of dies down, is there any cards that people should get right now before this hype dies down? Because if next year the virus or the
thing that paused the world,
Yes, the thing that paused the world.
The event.
The events.
Huh,
Yes.
That's a Marvel type joke. The incident.
The end game.
Yes, exactly.
The blip.
The blip, yes.
Well,
Is there any cards that, people should buy now while stuff is hot? Or there is, like, something that you should wait on? Or what do you guys think?
to me, you should probably get the staples, which again, the very month or 2 months ago, 3 months ago, people were posting heavily for it. You should be getting your mobilizes, your enemies, which again, wholesale games had, which I am so surprised. Wholesale with enemies had 4 enemies for what was the price?
I think it was like
12?
12 or 10.
Yeah,
something
12 or
like that.
$10.
$12 for a set of 4 enemies. And again, we as a community know of these sites, and people talk about it. When people are saying, hey, where can I buy these? And if no one has it, they'll post the websites. Somehow wholesale games just had that. And I think I picked up 4 sets, because I got one from my friend who never owned that. And then I think did you also with?
Yeah, so what I did is I bought a bunch. The first time that I heard about them was, during the time this resurgence has started. And I actually, what did I buy? I bought like 2 of the Hellboy starters.
Did you get the MUN? Marvel Universe box from there?
No, I know I got 2 boxes from a seller who was just selling them.
Yeah.
And then I think I did buy a Universe box, 2
I think there was,
Universe
because there was
box.
like one.
Guys,
yeah,
you and Andrew got 1 box.
Yeah, we went halfsies.
And then I got one that I opened, and then I think I bought another one from them, and that's where I got it. But I also got, what we're planning on doing is I bought a bunch of other stuff like starter decks and packs and the Galactus starters and, the exclusive boxes that had the tins and the packs.
Those tins were so bad in design. Like, the cards in them, awesome. Just afterwards, you had a tin.
Yeah, the tin breaks easily, though. That's
Well,
bad
and they
part.
get crushed, and
they bend.
And also, the worst part about them is, I still use them today only because it's versus system, and they
Might as well keep the aesthetic.
Yeah, and there's kind of a nostalgia factor to it too. But the thing that I hate is the cards that get caught like, underneath
the lip.
Yeah, like the lip on the inside of the deck box, not the top lip, but on the inside. And it's just like, it gets kind of annoying because it's like you try to shake it out and it doesn't come out, and you gotta be careful because you're hoping it's not like. If it's like something like a common card or whatever, just yank it out.
Some of those common cards, though, nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
The last few sets, again, a lot of this community buzz is about the last few sets because some of the most powerful effects on the end of this spectrum were in there.
Right, like, I can't, like, the one that comes on the top of my mind is that Mystique Raven. I've seen it for, like, $15, and I never would have think of a Versus System comic for $15.
Well,
or, like, the Vision, too,
a lot
the
of...
next one, yeah.
They usually were pretty spot on when it came to rarity and how they designed the cards throughout the entire game's life. At the end, though, Vision should have been a rare. Raven should have been a rare. Barbara Gordon 3-drop should have been a rare.
Yeah, or at least an uncommon, if that.
Oh my gosh, it just...
And, like, some of the... And especially with the DC cards, like, the last World's Finest in DC Legends, that's the one where they changed, like, the way the...
Yes, they changed up the foils changed up, and then that was right before the redesign of the cards, too.
Yeah, and I know I didn't really play the older DC sets as much, but... I started getting into DC with World's Finest personally, and that's probably the best time that I could have gotten into it because that's when I bought the most and was able to get the low print run sets, and especially with the resurgence that's going on right now with Versus System, like I'm surprised that I was able to get some of the stuff and to make decks like for a while that Captain America shield. The what's called the Badge of Courage.
The MEQ?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I was able to get that, and I was able to make pretty much the whole Captain America Iron Man deck, and that's a deck that I thought I would never have, but now since with everything going on, I was able to get it at least.
Especially considering Endgame and the popularity of the Avengers. Again, with the game at the end, it got very Marvel focused because DC pulled out. DC on the spectrum, meaning you've got Secret Society, Brave and the Bold. I'm trying to think, what other major DC decks. Again, people are trying to
World's
build.
Finest?
Yeah, the Trinity and World's Finest.
Oh gosh, the Trinity. That's the Justice League, the Batman, Superman, and Wonder
Yeah,
Woman, right?
the full-on Trinity deck. It wasn't really towards the end when DC got a lot bigger hitters. I mean, they've always had their classic heroes, but when you look through the lifespan, like Checkmate hit it pretty big for a moment. Well, mostly just teaming up, used mostly the Ahmed and the Skeleton for there. Shadow Pact. But when you think throughout the entire game's history, again, you think Spider-Man, you think Doom, you think of the X-Men, the classics,
like
and
Fantastic Four. Or
yeah.
Like,
DC, you've had mostly the main heroes, which again, the Justice League team, you have the Good Guys deck was pretty neat and silly. It did come out of nowhere, but Marvel did have more sets to its name.
yeah,
And the
by far.
DC Legends box. How much are those? 500?
Yeah, that sounds good.
A
Close to
box? Which, again, a year ago, I think I remember a year or two ago, 100 or 200 was kind of like, oh my god, that's ridiculous then.
Well, I've also noticed that surprisingly, like a few weeks ago, you were able to get Marvel Universe for like $100, which is
Yeah.
about,
Oh, yeah.
now that's gone up to like 200. It's like,
Well, people
crazy.
want to build, again, even players who are new to this, they're going to want to build what's popular right now, and that's Iron Man and Captain America, who just finished up, spoilers, in the Endgame series. Ooh.
yeah.
I'm a hand guy.
And apparently everybody in the collective is like, everybody has a Darkseid deck.
I have one
So,
too.
so that's also.
I'm the odd man out. I don't have a dark side deck.
But you're like a big DC guy. You have a bunch of other stuff. Like, you're working on that Joker deck, and I just gave you the 2 laughing gases for that
Oh yeah,
today. And by the way, I just want to say that I gave you my last 2 laughing gases, so I hope you appreciate that. See, he's laughing because he has the laughing gas, right?
So are you... So you are, again, one of your pet projects because you're a huge Joker fan.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The biggest support for Arkham did come from kind of the later sets, meaning for your Arkham deck and your... Because it used to be kind of just your Arkham deck with 4-drop Joker. And
Yeah.
was it the 7-drop Joker afterwards?
It was the 7-drop, yeah.
And you just... was it through you, or did you get the non-unique card?
Clash of Worlds?
Clash of Worlds.
I got it
Yeah,
through
Clash of Worlds.
Category 1.
Yeah. So again, did you ever think you'd have a set of beatdowns? You'd have
Nope.
Clash? What other things that you have just gotten you never thought maybe 5 years ago? Again, we've been playing consistently.
Well, yeah, I was never thinking that I would have anything like Clash of Worlds or, the Lazarus Pits, but now I have them, so
Yeah.
it makes everything a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, and then you're going to tinker and figure out what works. Because, again, the Legends format was a really cool concept. Again, powerful effects at the end of the game's life. Which the Legends stuff, if you think about it again, you had Doom. You can consider a Legend supported character back in the
Now,
day.
you're talking in Legends as in
12
card
that
name
either
cards
are of or reference the character's name, which is again a very smart thing in them trying to continue the concept of the game. But to have Joker and Human Torch and all those characters, so
And by the way, one of the episodes we're going to do is we're going to talk about, like, you take a character that somebody really likes. Let's say, I really like Spider-Man. Well, what's a deck you can do that's like themed around that character, right? And that's going to be in a future podcast, so we won't go into too much detail. But like Clash of Worlds is definitely one of the
Clash
cards you
of
need to
Worlds,
have.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. Heck, you could just be Kang and he's already built and ready to go.
Right.
Heck,
So-
even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Aha!
Oh gosh, that deck is just so
I
crazy.
wanna make-
That's another deck that I just finished is the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. deck because I was able to get the Triskelions that I needed because I literally traded somebody from Germany just to get that, and I ended up trading the 2 3-drop Iron Man, the Weapon X one, and I was able to get the Emma Frost and a Hal Jordan. I was able to get another Emma Frost and the Hal Jordan for the other one, and then I traded my gift wrap for the Triskelion. And surprisingly, that package came really fast. It was like within a week, and overseas stuff usually doesn't happen that fast, so I was kind of surprised.
Oh yeah, the event has the community and people shipping and stuff. Considering you'd expect delays, especially overseas, considering what's been happening, but it's been pretty consistent. Like one was mind you, one order you did I think took
Almost a month.
Oh my gosh,
So-
really?
well.
Well, clearly that was the fault of the post office and not of the place you bought it from. So.
Yes.
Possibly, maybe.
Or it could be both. I'm just going to say that it was pretty bad. I ordered it on the 3rd of July and got it on the 21st of July.
Yeah, that sounds, personally for me, that sounds like a USPS thing.
You're shopping right now, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Nice.
Is it category or BST?
Category.
Yeah, that's been a great website recently, and you can actually add stuff on the wish list, and if you want
It'll proc
something,
and email
so
you.
if you.
Yes. Which
yeah.
I'm still waiting for the one that I have on.
Well, again, people
there.
are communicating with him on that particular forum because was it a month or two ago when I remember a player asked in the community, hey, what's a good site to get prices or to buy from? And someone mentioned in that thread category 1. And some players mentioned on the continuing thread they're overpriced on a lot of stuff. And the guy who runs it, oh, hi, I own this site. I'm the one who's dealing with it. I'm trying to gauge prices. If you think these are too high, let me adjust and try to get a good balance. So again, the guy running that site has been communicating. He does post, hey, got a trade in, got a huge collection. It's going to take me a while to put it into the site. And then it might be not a month. I'm hoping that wasn't part of
Yeah,
that.
because I know he recently got like DC Legends stuff.
Yeah.
And like that was one of the things. Like he posted pictures, and I actually messaged him a couple times like, hey, when is the rest of the stuff gonna be up? And I think he also got some like Marvel Evolution stuff.
Yeah, he also got some Legend stuff because the Human Torch, the one that you activate, auto stun, deal damage equals to his attack.
Oh,
My friend,
Flame On? Is that
yeah,
what's
Flame On,
yeah.
which is one of the better 6-drops for Fantastic Four, unless you're running the Strange and Activate stuff. My friend Andrew has been trying. Again, we've had these decks for like 10 years, of course. Mm-hmm. Because of this, he's started branching out into things he never thought he would. So Fantastic Four, he had like a Fantastic Four Ghost Rider that didn't work because he had Marvel Knights Fantastic Four and he never did it. But now he ordered through like, hey, you ordering right now, Mark? Yeah. Throw those in your cart. I'll pay you later. Fine.
Actually, and I remembered that I sold him a couple of other stuff, and then he was like, "Oh, Mark, can you just pay this for me?"
Yeah.
Like that was just like a few weeks ago. So.
And then we had our friend who we hadn't seen because of the pause of the world, and we played with him in the first time in 4 months, considering the circles are only so big with your family, friends, and work. And it was like, all right, we're going to whip out 2 brand new decks our friends we haven't seen in 3 months have never seen us have. Completely never seen us have. And get some huge double takes of, what? When did you? How did you? You have more of that 2-drop than I have in my deck.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, Mark, and I don't think you ever really followed up with it, but I think when I sold you that Hulk Warbound deck, from the collection that I bought, because I guess you had a friend in your play group that played that deck,
Yes.
and then you were gonna play against him.
We were hoping to have so.
Yeah, what happened with that? Was he like surprised you had a deck when you played against him? If he did,
he was surprised I had it. I wasn't able to have, because again, whenever we play in our group matches, usually a 4-player free for all, if not a 2-on-2 type of a 2-headed giant. I was hoping to play my Hulk when he played his Hulk, because we usually don't like the Hulk deck in a multiplayer game because the 8-drop is your ideal 8-drop. In a multiplayer game, the Hulk player should hopefully die before turn 7, otherwise that Hulk is just going to go, I win.
Because with the 8-drop. Right?
Yeah, because the 8-drop trigger, KO all, and he can keep it on a stick, what are you going to do? So
you're saying you need to kill him by turn 7.
You need to kill him by turn 7.
Right? So he doesn't get to the 8.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you have 2 Hulk decks and you chain, it kind of becomes, we've both got loaded guns at our temples, what's going to happen? But we had a multiplayer game where he played his Magneto Brotherhood deck. I played the Hulk deck. My friend Andrew played his Punisher Marvel Knights deck, which is one of his newer ones that he's now pieced together. And our friend played an X Factor deck. That game was so weird because I told the group, by turn 7 if I'm dead or earlier, it's cool. I expect to die.
Right.
I need to go home anyways.
Right.
And in that game, Richard pulled 2 visions and had no drops for almost 4 turns.
Oh my
He
goodness.
just Avalon Space Station and Brotherhood and drew over 20 cards. So I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm both the threat and not the threat. And then our friend Andrew pulls out Punisher and puts 3 equipments on him. Again, this is one of his first times playing it. And I'm like, Andrew, don't put 3 equipments. So on turn 5, Richard plays Magneto, 4-drop, and pops the equipments.
Oh yeah, is that the one from Marvel Universe, right?
I think was it Legends or Universe? I can't remember.
I don't know. I think it was Universe. If I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
So
the Legends got other ones.
Yeah, so he pops the equipments. So Andrew has to re-equip following turn. Now here's where the game gets weird. Turn 6, Andrew plays the 6-drop Marvel Knight Hulk that takes all of your endurance.
Oh.
So this entire time,
and it gives him the attack and
equal,
defense?
exactly.
Yeah.
So
So if
he
you're at
had
40, he gets plus 40 plus.
he got hit a little bit, but again, Richard and I, who had the very threatening decks that need to get hit, were down low. And he got the plus X because he didn't have another 6-drop.
Mm-hmm.
So he went, well, okay, he's a 55-55. And long story short, Steven, who had the most life, considering Richard and I were really low in life anyways, Andrew swung into Steven, who had the Quicksilver 4-drop that gave reinforcement.
Oh yeah.
So Richard decided again, I'm going to help. Because again, multiplayer games, I love multiplayer games. It gets into shenanigans you wouldn't expect. Richard did lay down with dogs.
Oh yeah, that's essentially the blindsided.
Yeah.
But you discard a card.
So
Or you give him reinforcement.
Steven negates it through the X Factor card. And then Richard, because he had drawn over 25 cards, I chain with another one. And Steven takes it hard.
Oh.
And then Richard deciding to help out the Hulk deck, which is funny, Marvel Knight Hulks versus mine, plays the Need for Speed
Oh yeah.
to ready it. And it came down to a game where it was Steven was at -8, Andrew was -9, I was -11, and Richard was -12 at the end of turn 6. When the beginning of turn 6, build phase wise, it was like less than 10 health on our side, and their healths were over 40. And just boom. And this again was 2 of us were playing brand new decks that had not been used in this group after 10 years of playing the same decks. Again, and again,
And again.
and again. Ooh,
So
there's your dick.
Dick Grayson, right?
Yes, yes, for the podcast.
Dick Grayson, yes, yeah, that's
All
what
right.
I'm talking about. So let me ask Robert a question. So going back to that 6-drop Hulk for a second. Weren't we talking about some kind of crazy combo where like you could do carrying the torch with that Hulk and then play Fate as Spoken, but yeah, doing like Fate
Yeah.
Spoken. We were thinking of like a combo like that, like on turn 5 you play carrying the torch or something.
Well,
And giving somebody. Well, I guess that wouldn't really work because you. How does carrying the torch work exactly? again?
So carrying the
Probably don't
torch
know.
is a 3 threshold ongoing plot twist where you remove a character of 3 cost or higher from your KO'd pile. to add that identity and name, or the name, to a character you have in play.
Okay, so it does have to be in play. So if you were going to do that for the 6-drop Hulk, you would need to have like a 5-drop Hulk in play. Play it on that turn. And then
Yeah, so if you have 5-drop Hulk out in play and you've got Doctor Strange in your KO pile, you can remove Doctor Strange
Dr. Fate.
or Doctor Fate, sorry. Very different doctors.
yeah.
Remove that character from the game to give him that identity, so now he's got 2 names. Then on turn 6, you can play Hulk, and the uniqueness rule is Hulk and Hulk Dr. Fate are 2 different characters' names. So it bypasses the uniqueness rule. But to me, Hulk I don't think needs the Fate identity because it does have some Warbound cards that aren't team specific. They're Hulk specific that do ready him.
Well, the idea that we're trying to think of is because we were talking about it. The card Fate is spoken.
Just to ready and
we were
take
going to
the...
ready. You pay all your turns for this Hulk, and then ready it and get to attack with them twice. And we were thinking of
Destroying
like that.
things like that.
Well, again, you have the anger management,
Oh yeah, that's true.
which is already not having to, unless you, again, I
Are
know...
you talking about righteous anger?
Yeah, Righteous Anger,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah,
Righteous Anger already has, and it's hard to interact with unless you straight up negate it.
Right.
Which can be done.
But if you want to have and give frickin' Hulk the full equipment lineup, give him the identity as well, and give him +4/+4 on target ability, flight range,
Yeah.
draw 3, discard 3, and then do Fate Has Spoken.
Which would work easier.
Yeah, and then you have your 55/55 Hulk just go.
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
Oh, I went too loud.
Didn't go loud enough.
Yeah. Go crazy! No, I'm just kidding. But, okay, so is there anything else that we want to talk about on this episode? Is there anything that we didn't cover that any of you guys want to talk about?
I think everything we wanted to talk about, we talked about.
It's
Yeah,
great to
so
see the community as live as it is.
Yeah, so if you're if you're an old-time player and you're looking to get in the game, now's the time to get the cards for it, for sure. And if you're a new player, well, I guess it's still a good time to get cards. But
Yeah.
then they don't have as much of a knowledge of cards that experienced players have. But if you wanted to make like a themed deck, like a Captain America deck or a Spider-Man deck, now's the time to get the cards so you can, even new players can still get decent stuff right now.
Just buy 2 Hellboy starter decks.
That's basically
Oh, if
all
you're
you
trying to
need.
get, I was thinking in more the context of like somebody who really likes the superhero.
Oh yeah, if
Like
you have
that.
a
But
favorite.
if you're a new player trying to get into the game, definitely buying 2 of the Hellboy starters is a good start. Or you might be able to find somebody who has a
Oh yeah, people
cheap
are still
deck,
selling
too.
full-on decks right now. It's huge.
Or
Yep.
if I do have an extra of one of Robert's favorite decks, the Kree deck. So if anybody wants a Kree deck, find me on the forum somewhere or the group. God, I keep saying forum.
I love the Kree.
I
The
know,
Kree
you've
can
done
burn in a fire pit for all I care.
I'm sorry, I'm the guy in the group that has Kree.
You're
Yeah,
the
it's
second.
first-
I think I've had it for
the
10
deck.
years.
Okay, you're the longest in the group that have it, and I recently got it. And, okay, again, the Kree deck was another deck that I recently finished because of the resurgence of the game. That's
I
going on.
built that Kree deck off of a draft years ago when the set was being pre-release
Oh, nice.
draft. And I was informed because the previews on the site, players told me, don't draft the Kree. It's going to be hard to get all those cards with that mechanic together to work. But everyone talked to everyone in that draft, which was, I think, 16 plus players. No one picked up the Kree cards, so I just was like, all right, woohoo! Then it took a while to figure out how to play them.
Nice.
Still play them.
All right, so yeah, let's pretty much wrap this up, right?
Yeah, we're at about like 50 minutes. Not bad for.
Holy shit!
Yeah, not bad for first episode on the podcast.
So yeah, again, it's amazing time right now. Finishing up decks, starting up new decks, trading off collections, selling off piece by piece of stuff you don't need, foiling out. This has been a huge impact on this game for the community, for the collective, financially, making money, or just finishing up these decks you've had, again, for over 10, 15 years. This has been a golden age, a silver age, a modern age time for us to play the game that many of us have nurtured friendships for over a decade plus.
Yeah,
from.
decade plus.
I know. I can definitely tell I've been friends with you, Marks, because of this game, and
Oh,
with
yeah.
Robert too.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing time to be playing with friends like this, to be playing with new players that have even started in this group that we have down in our city that have never really played and are now deep in with multiple decks. It's just a great time, and I'm very, circumstance be not, thanks everybody in the forums and on these sites for doing the best job they can and helping a lot of us finish up these decks and these heroes and villains that we've idolized and wanted to finish up and build for the longest time.
Well, the Joker is definitely the hero of everything.
Oh, I guarantee you sometime in the future we're going to have a podcast on just the Joker, and you better be on top of your game when we do that.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely be on the game. Nobody's better that's Joker than me.
In case you haven't figured out, Robert's a big Joker fan.
What?
No,
This is news. What?
Really? I didn't know it was news. I thought everybody just knew.
I thought you kept doing that pencil trick because you wanted to kill people.
No, I just wanted to make the pencil disappear.
So, yeah, I'm good, Robert. Is there
No,
anything
I'm good as well.
Okay, sweet. So I guess we will just cut it off there and tune in next time when we'll talk about something else versus system related. And I don't know, maybe next week we can talk about that, what I mentioned earlier about if you wanted to build a versus deck around a certain character card. Maybe
The full-on legend or theme.
Legend or theme.
Kind of the full theme.
Like, yeah, if you like Batman so much, you know, you just want to play Batman. Well, what's the Batman cards you want? So maybe
From the shadows.
Oh yeah.
What? The +5 defense, one threshold plot twist?
Well, that's where Batman loves to spend most of his time anyway. Hiding in the shadows.
Yeah.
He also hangs out in a cave with bats.
Yeah. As a Harley Quinn anime show would say, is this where you have sex with the bats?
Well, he does.
No!
Okay, that's a good.
That is a horrible way to end this.
Yeah. How about, okay, so just, tune us to the next podcast where we'll probably be talking about, you know, if you're new to the game, you want to build a deck, what are some of the things you need to make a character-specific deck, and that and so much more next time, so.
Stay tuned. Same bat channel.
Same bat time.
Yeah, same bat time, same bat channel. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Later.